Karina, this is English in Brazil, but actually today it's English in Dublin. Yes, because we're in Dublin now. A gente tá aqui em Dublin e eu não tô sozinha. Tô aqui com Adam do canal Inglês com Nativo, certo?
Inglês Nativo.
Então, se quiserem conhecer o canal do Adam, é só clicar aqui no card e hoje a gente vai falar sobre o sotaque irlandês,
Sim.
ou melhor, os sotaques.
Sim, tem vários, né?
Não é só um, assim como em qualquer país, né? Mas Adam, conta pra eles de onde você é.
Eu sou caipira, sou do interiorzão mesmo, sou de um condado que se chama Leitrim, que é o condado menos populoso, famoso por ser bem rural mesmo, então sou caipira, como falei.
Que legal, então nada melhor do que um caipira pra falar sobre sotaques aqui com a gente. E o vídeo vai ser em inglês, porque daí você já pode observar o sotaque do Adam, e é claro que tem legendas em português e inglês, basta ativar aqui no YouTube. E lembrando que eu tô aqui com a Seda College, que é onde o Adam dá aula também.
Verdade.
Então se você quiser fazer intercâmbio aqui na Irlanda, é só dar uma olhada nos links aqui na descrição.
Sim.
Let's start talking about pronunciation.
Sure.
Yeah, many people say that the Irish accent is one of the most difficult ones in the world. Do you agree with that?
I don't know.
It's easy for you.
Yeah, for me it's really easy, you know, so for other people it has to be easy too, right? That's the way it works. No, I don't think it's one of the most difficult ones. There are certain regional accents that are a little bit difficult to understand, different from standardized American English, but there's only, what, 5 million people or so from Ireland, so people don't have that much exposure to it, so people just aren't accustomed to it.
So let's start talking about the R sound.
Okay.
So in British English, people say something like, I parked my car. Is it the same in Irish English?
No, it certainly isn't.
It's not the same.
I guess Irish English is more like American English in that regard. So in British English especially, I'm sure you've done like the tapes in the classroom and stuff. Car.
Car.
Repeat. Car. In Irish English, it would be car, bar. Like American English. So,
yeah, I think the vowel would be different here.
Yeah.
Car.
Yeah,
I think it would be a little bit different.
Yeah,
right?
the A or the A is very sharp. So for example, pasta is a good example. Even though it doesn't have an or, in American English, people say pasta. They would like elongate the A. But in Irish English, I say pasta.
Okay.
It sounds kind of sharp, you know, pasta. Ah.
Yeah. And the second thing is related to the T sound. How would you say YouTube?
I would say YouTube.
And in American English, people would say YouTube.
YouTube, like t.
Yeah, t.
Yeah.
And you say ch.
I said
YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay.
Another example would be Jew, right? Like the moment when you should do something or have something done.
Okay.
For example, if the bus is due, the bus is coming now. But what would that be to you?
Yeah, it would be like do.
Yeah,
do,
exactly,
do.
do.
Yeah.
And in British English, this Jew would be a homophone of the word Jew, like judeu, judaic.
Yeah.
Judaic, né?
And the third aspect is the I that becomes an oi.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Tô com medo de reclamar disso, porque vai ter pessoa de Dublin aqui, eu sou do interior. Porque
ele não fala.
eu não faço isso.
Ah, okay, interesting.
But people from Dublin, this is something that happens a lot in the Dublin accent, where I becomes oi. So for example, what examples do you have?
5.
5, yeah, becomes 5. All right becomes all right.
And I didn't know about that until I got to the airport.
Yeah.
And the guy asked me, like the police officer, he said, when was your Floyd?
Oh,
back?
God,
And
yeah.
I said, my what? Sorry, excuse me.
When was your
Your
Floyd?
Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Floyd.
Yeah, it took me some
Yeah.
time to understand that he was talking about a flight. The fourth one is still related to the I sound,
Okay.
but it's in very specific words. For example, my car.
Yeah.
How would you say that?
Oh, I would say my car. But
Okay.
some people from a lot of people. Sometimes I say this informally. They say me car.
Me car.
So they use the word me, like the object pronoun me, instead of my for possessives. And so instead of where are my shoes, they would say where are me shoes. And instead of she's my mother, they would say she's me mother.
She's me mother.
Yeah.
Love
She's
it.
me ma. Ma is mother in Dublin.
Ah, she's me ma.
Yeah, she's me ma. And actually, there's a really famous Irish song, I think from the 80s, maybe the 70s, called Where's Me Jumper?
Ah, me jumper.
What's jumper?
A jumper is a sweater, right?
Yeah, exactly. In British English and in Irish English, we'd say jumper for sweater. And the song is called Where's Me Jumper? And it's about a guy who loses his jumper at a disco or nightclub, and he made a whole song. And it was
About
number
it.
1. Yeah, it was really popular. Even today, everybody knows that song.
Dancing in the disco.
Then the TH sound,
Oh,
which
God.
so many Brazilians struggle to
Yeah,
pronounce.
don't worry, you're not alone. We also find it difficult.
Yeah, it is a difficult sound,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And it will probably disappear in the future.
Yeah?
That's what linguists say.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
because not many people are using it
Yeah.
nowadays. Not even native speakers of the language.
A lot of people, they don't learn to do it from an early age. Like you said, it's going to disappear, right? It's not
Yeah.
that people choose to do it or choose not to do it. It's that people physically can't do it.
In about 50 years, they say.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Let's see
yeah.
what happens.
So a lot of people I know would say dis and dat instead of this and that.
So-
For example, for think, some people say think. I think that for I think that. Lots of in many accents. It's
Mm-hmm. So
really
the
common.
unvoiced one is t,
T.
I think,
And the
and the
voiced-
voiced one is
duh.
duh.
Yeah.
Duh. That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, but English people, a lot of posh English people like to make fun of Irish people for the way they pronounce their THs, and they think the number 33 is very funny. They ask Irish people to say 33 because they think that Irish people say 33 instead of 33. But did you notice when you went to London that they have problems with TH? They say f. Like
F,
free,
yes, some of
free
them,
instead
some
of
of them.
three. So
Yeah.
like you said, it's probably going to disappear. I had a friend
Fuck
from
or fuck.
London when I was a kid. He used to visit us here, and we used to have big fights over who was worse at TH.
Oh,
He'd say,
Jesus. Oh,
you guys
really?
are so stupid. You say t. I was like, well, you're stupid. You say f.
Forget my video about the T
Yeah.
sound. You don't need it.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's really important.
You don't need
watch
that.
it. Watch it.
And then there's another diphthong
Yeah.
thing with the ow
Okay.
diphthong. Okay.
How.
How?
Ow. Like that.
Ow?
Yeah. They say hell. Hell yeah.
How? Oh.
Yeah,
nice.
it's really different. People say it really quickly because everybody knows what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm coming from a different country, it's going to be very difficult for me to identify that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of a casual thing, like what's up. People would say it on WhatsApp. How are you? And actually, another one that's very common in Dublin is what's the story?
What's the story?
Story.
I would say, which story? Excuse me.
Well, I have some stories here in my backpack.
Yeah.
You would like to see? Yeah.
Would you like me to read a story for you? But then it's like,
They
how
say
are you?
Stardy instead of story.
So-
So becomes what's the stardy? It's very kind of only in some accents in Dublin.
And now let's talk a little bit about grammar and vocabulary.
Sure.
Okay, so
God.
the
Oh, very difficult.
so the first one is awesome.
Awesome.
This is something that Americans say all,
All
the
the
time.
time.
Everything is awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Do you say awesome here?
Never.
Never.
Never. There's nothing wrong with saying it. I mean,
Okay.
if I went to the United States, I would probably say it just because that's the way that they communicate. But here, no. Here, awesome, people would joke. If I said awesome, my friends would be like, ha, are you not happy being Irish? Do you want to be American? That
Really?
kind of thing. But we have different words instead of awesome. We'd say class. Class is the same as awesome.
Unreal.
Unreal. I guess like surreal. Yeah. Makes sense for
What?
something.
Unreal?
Like-
Surreal, eh?
Surreal,
Say-
yeah.
Also for surreal.
Yeah. Unreal. You could say deadly, which is very common in Dublin. Deadly. Savage. Savage. Yeah.
Foi animal.
Yeah,
Acho que assim que
exactly,
eu
yeah,
penso. É,
yeah.
foi animal.
Yeah, animal was one as well. Like 5
Oh,
years ago,
really?
people used to say animal.
But not
Not anymore. But savage.
5 years ago, you
Yeah.
see how language changes?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah.
just 5 years, and then people don't say.
I'm not cool anymore. I used to be cool 5 years ago. I knew all the stuff.
And a very common greeting in Ireland is "What's the crack?"
Yeah.
What's the
everywhere.
crack? Yeah.
What's the crack? Well, I guess crack is a noun that means like things that are happening or news or stuff that's going on. You
What's
know?
up? Yeah.
Well, exactly. Like what's up. So if crack is fun or stuff that's happening, then when I say what's the crack, it's just the same as what's happening, what's going on, what's up, like you said. And again, what do you think the answer to what's the crack? What's the crack? is?
Nothing.
Not exactly. What's the crack?
Or nothing.
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 Nothing. What's the crack? Nothing much.
And
Not
I'm
much.
sorry if this is a very stupid question, but
No,
is
don't
it a real word in the English dictionary like crack?
No, it's not.
Oh, it wasn't a stupid question
No,
then,
not at all.
because I thought I had never seen this word
No,
before.
no. There are a lot of words in Irish English that come from Irish, the Irish language. I'm not sure what the exact root of crack is, but there are a lot of words used commonly in day-to-day conversation in Ireland that are not in the dictionary at all.
Okay. And what about cheers?
Cheers, yeah, God, this cheers has made my life difficult sometimes.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, because well, cheers we always use here not just to kind of to toast a drink.
Yeah.
Like
Cheers, saúde,
saúde.
okay.
Cheers in Ireland and in the UK, in British English, is commonly used to say thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely say cheers more than I say thanks. I guess like valeu, or informal
valeu.
ways to say
Isso aí.
thanks in Portuguese. Sometimes thank you feels like ai, muito obrigado, senhor. Like very
Muito
formal.
Very formal, okay.
So I would always say cheers. If you give me a drink, cheers. Or if you give me, I don't know, whatever.
Money?
Money, I'm definitely say cheers. I would say thank you very much. But when I went to Canada, I worked in Canada during the summer. I spent
know
the
that.
summer there 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Nice.
And most of the people I worked with, I worked at like a camp for teenagers, and most of the people there were actually American from the United States. But I kept saying cheers all the time because I'm not going to lose the habit in 3 months, you know? And they were like, why do you keep saying cheers? It's really strange. Please stop. We don't know what you mean. We think you're talking about alcohol all the time. Like, why don't you just say thanks? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This is the way we communicate. And also, a common answer to cheers is no bother. Like, no problem. The same as bother, well, I don't want to bother you, right? It comes from the same place. Only in Ireland, we say no bother for you're welcome. So instead of thank you, you're welcome, it's common to hear cheers, no bother.
Então é isso, espero que vocês tenham gostado de saber. Gente, eu aprendi tanto. Eu
Sério?
aprendi tanto. Eu amei.
Nossa,
a gente
não
adora
acredito
falar.
que...
Aprendi demais.
Sério? Ai,
demais.
que legal.
E eu tenho certeza que vocês aprenderam muito também. Eu adoro
Também.
falar sobre essas coisas, diferenças de sotaque, de pronúncia, eu amo. E é muito legal mostrar que não existe só um sotaque de inglês no mundo, né, gente? O inglês tem tantas variedades de sotaques no mundo e às
Sim.
vezes as pessoas pensam que tem que ter só uma
Sim.
específica,
Sim,
né?
calm
E
down.
se a gente quiser ter mais contato com o inglês e irlandês, o que a gente pode assistir, por exemplo, no YouTube? Alguns canais, não
tem
sei.
mais irlandeses famosos do que as pessoas achariam, eu acho. Pelo menos para mim. Mas eu sei porque sou irlandês, né? A gente se orgulha em ter esse tipo de pessoa famosa, coisa assim. Tem Liam Neeson. Você conhece Liam Neeson? O ator. É super famoso. Eu não manjo, eu não sei muito de filmes. Então,
Eu também não.
ele.
Vou dar uma foto
ele
aqui, ó.
Sim. Taken, the movie Taken, he's really famous. Just put him into YouTube. Só bota o nome dele lá no YouTube pra ver entrevistas com ele e tal. Liam Neeson, tem Colin Farrell.
Sim.
Todas as mulheres.
todo mundo.
Toda mulher conhece o Colin Farrell. Então bota o nome dele no YouTube, vocês vão ver centenas de entrevistas com ele. Quem mais que tem? Tem o Conor McGregor, que é muito famoso
verdade.
hoje em dia. Ele tem um sotaque super de Dublin, né? De Dublin. Super de Dublin. Ele é um bom mostruário de um sotaque do working class aqui.
Working class. E é óbvio que tem também o canal do Adam. Então não esqueçam de se inscrever no canal dele, que é muito bom.
Sim.
Vídeos de muita qualidade. Ele ensina inglês também. Também fala sobre essas questões culturais. É muito legal, vale a pena. Então espero que vocês tenham gostado desse vídeo. Espero que tenham aprendido Então eu espero que tenham gostado desse vídeo, que tenham aprendido mais sobre o sotaque irlandês e que também assistam os canais que o Adam me indicou e também o canal do Adam, of course. Se gostar desse vídeo, por favor, clique em gostei e se inscreva aqui no English in Brazil para aprender mais dicas de inglês toda semana, ok?
Valeu, pessoal.
See you next video.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye bye.